Have you ever wondered what really happens when you completely disappear from someone's life? Not a slow, gradual drift, but a clean break. No texts, no calls, no explanations, just silence. It's a move most people wouldn't dare to make, yet its impact is profound. When you vanish without a trace, you disrupt their entire sense of normalcy. You leave them questioning, reflecting, and often spiraling into emotions they never expected to feel. You might think, they'll just move on, right? Life goes on for everyone. But let me tell you, that's not how it works. When you disappear, their world doesn't just stay the same. It shifts, it shakes, and in many cases, it crumbles. This isn't about revenge or playing games. It's about reclaiming your power and breaking free from the cycle of being taken for granted. In this video, we're diving into the 9 intense emotional stages they go through when you vanish from their life. These aren't just surface-level feelings, they're deep, raw, and transformative. And by understanding these stages, you'll see how this single bold decision can shift the dynamic forever. So if you're ready to find out what really happens when you walk away, stay with me until the end. You won't want to miss the final, surprising stage they experience. Introduction. In today's world, it's all too common for people to take others for granted. You might find yourself always being the one to text first, the one to make plans, or the one who's always there no matter what. And yet, your efforts seem to go unnoticed. The harsh reality. When you're too available, always showing up, always responding, you slowly start to lose your value in their eyes. You become predictable, someone they assume will always be there. You're no longer a priority. You've become just an option. It's frustrating, isn't it? That feeling of giving so much of yourself, your time and your energy, only to feel overlooked or underappreciated. You start to wonder, what would it take for them to really see my worth, to notice me for what I bring into their life? Here's the answer. Sometimes it takes your complete and total absence for them to finally realize what they had. When you vanish, when you stop texting, calling, and showing up, you force them to confront your absence. This isn't about being petty or seeking revenge. Let's be clear, this is about reclaiming your power. It's about breaking the cycle of being taken for granted and finally understanding your own worth. By stepping away, you remind them that you are not someone to be treated lightly, and the ripple effect of your absence is far more profound than you may realize. The truth is, people don't notice the sun until it sets. It's only in the darkness that they realize how much they needed its warmth and light. The same goes for you. Your presence has been their comfort, their safety net. But when you disappear, that's when they'll feel the full weight of what they've lost. If you've ever felt like you've given too much and received too little, this is your moment to take back control. It's time to stop being the person who's always there for people who don't show up for you. If you're ready to break free from being taken for granted, let's make it official. Comment below, "I'm done." Say it out loud to yourself if you need to. Declare that you're done being treated like an option. And stick around until the end of this video, because I'm saving the most eye-opening revelation for last, the bonus 10th stage. Trust me, it's the one stage they never see coming, and it could completely change how you approach relationships in the future. Let's dive in and uncover what really happens when you disappear from someone's life, starting with the first stage of this powerful transformation. Stage 1. The sting of rejection. Imagine this. They scroll through their phone, expecting to see your usual message, the good morning, the check-in, or the funny meme you always shared. But this time, nothing. The silence isn't just empty, it's deafening. At first, they might brush it off, thinking you're just busy or having an off day. But as the hours turn into days, the sting begins to set in. They never thought you'd actually leave. Why would you? They assumed your love, care, and attention were endless, something they could rely on without question. They took your presence as a given, not realizing it was something that required effort, reciprocity, and respect. But now that safety net is gone. The absence feels like a rejection, an unexpected blow to their ego. It's not just about missing your messages or your company. It's the realization that you chose to walk away, that you've made a conscious decision to stop prioritizing them. It's a harsh wake-up call, a reminder that they were never entitled to your time and energy. This stage is raw and unfiltered. The sting isn't just about losing you, it's about confronting their own actions, or lack thereof, that pushed you to this point. It's a moment of discomfort that hits like a brick, leaving them reeling in the face of your absence. The once constant presence they took for granted is now a void they don't know how to fill. And deep down they start to wonder, what did I do wrong? Stage 2. The void of missing you. At first, they try to play it cool. Maybe they tell themselves, it's fine, I don't need them anyway, or even pretend your absence doesn't bother them. But this is just a facade, a weak attempt to shield themselves from the growing emptiness they feel. Soon enough, the cracks in their confidence begin to show. They notice the void in the little moments. The laughter you brought, the inside jokes only you two shared, has disappeared, leaving a silence that feels heavier with each passing day. The comfort of knowing someone had their back, someone who truly understood them, is now a distant memory. Every time they reach for their phone out of habit, only to realize there's no new message from you, the emptiness deepens. They start to miss the emotional security you provided, your words of encouragement, your unwavering presence, the way you could make even their worst days feel a little lighter. It's all gone. What they once dismissed as just part of the routine now feels like a gaping hole in their life. And it's not just the big moments that highlight your absence. It's the little, almost mundane things that sting the most. The songs that remind them of you, the places you used to go together, or even the times they instinctively want to tell you about something funny that happened, only to stop themselves, realizing you're no longer there to listen. This stage is the beginning of realization. They may not admit it out loud, but deep down, they know. Life isn't as bright, as full, or as meaningful without you in it. The void you've left behind is impossible to ignore, and it follows them like a shadow, growing heavier with each passing day. Stage 3. Overwhelming curiosity. The void you left doesn't just sit quietly, it starts to gnaw at them. Questions flood their mind like an unstoppable storm. Where are you now? Who are you spending time with? Are you happier without them? They can't help but wonder. The absence of answers drives them to the brink of obsession. At first, they might try to brush it off, convincing themselves they don't care. But curiosity is relentless. Every notification on their phone raises a flicker of hope that it's you. They find themselves scrolling through your social media, looking for signs, clues, anything to piece together your life without them. Every post, every update becomes a riddle they're desperate to solve. The silence makes their imagination run wild. Are you out with someone new? Are you finally pursuing those dreams you talked about? They picture you laughing, thriving, moving on, and the thought stings in ways they didn't expect. It's not just about missing you anymore. It's about not knowing. This curiosity can become all-consuming. They may even ask mutual friends about you, subtly fishing for details. But no matter what they hear or don't hear, it never feels like enough. The need for answers grows deeper, more frantic, because the truth is, your absence has left them powerless. In their mind, you've become a mystery, and they're desperate to solve it. They can't control where you are or what you're doing, and that lack of control only fuels their obsession. The storm of curiosity builds, swirling with emotions they can no longer ignore, pulling them further into the realization of just how much you mattered. Stage 4. Deep self-reflection. Once the initial shock and curiosity begin to settle, they're forced to confront something much more uncomfortable: themselves. In the quiet of your absence, they can no longer avoid the truth. They start to replay every moment, every conversation, every instance where they might have pushed you away or overlooked your needs. They ask themselves, how did I lose them? The answer isn't easy, and it certainly doesn't come in a single moment. It's the small things, the words they didn't say, the actions they never took, the times they took you for granted, thinking you'd always be there. Each memory stings now, like a collection of missteps they wish they could undo. Regret becomes their constant companion. It's a heavy weight that hangs over their thoughts. They might even try to justify their behaviour, telling themselves you were too sensitive or that they had other things on their plate. But deep down, they know. They know they didn't value you the way they should have. This period of self-reflection isn't just about regret. It's also about a painful realization of how much you truly meant to them. They now see the gaps your absence has left in their life. And it's not just the big moments, but the little things too. The comfort of your presence, the stability you provided, the way you made them feel understood and cared for. As they look inward, the walls they've built start to crumble, and they see their own flaws more clearly than ever before. This reckoning isn't easy. It's a harsh confrontation with their own mistakes. And it's in these moments that they come to understand that losing you wasn't just about the loss of someone else. It was the loss of someone who made them feel seen, loved and valued in ways they didn't fully appreciate until it was too late. Stage 5. The urge to pursue you. As the days go by and the weight of their regret deepens, something else begins to surface: desperation. It starts subtly at first, perhaps with a random thought crossing their mind. Maybe I should just reach out, just one text, nothing too serious. But it doesn't stop there. Slowly, they begin to escalate their efforts in hopes of reconnecting, of reigniting what they once had. They might send those late-night texts, the ones that seem harmless at first, but you know they're desperate attempts to break the silence. "How have you been?" they might ask, as if time and distance haven't made their absence all the more clear. Or perhaps they'll like your old posts, scrolling through your profile like a stranger trying to reclaim something they thought they had lost forever. It's the modern-day equivalent of shouting into the void, hoping you'll hear them and respond. Their mind races. What if they just need to know I'm thinking of them? They'll even come up with excuses to reach out, anything to get a glimpse of your response. But here's the truth. It's no longer up to them. You've taken back control. You are no longer the one waiting, wondering if they'll change, or when they'll realize what they lost. You've stepped into your own power, and now the roles have reversed. Where once they held the upper hand, now it's you who dictates the terms. This stage, as they desperately try to re-enter your life, highlights a painful truth for them. They don't have the same power over you anymore. Their attempts to win you back are now met with your indifference, because you've realized your worth and learned the strength of your absence. And though they might keep trying, you know that this power shift is the ultimate reminder of what happens when someone takes you for granted. When you vanish, you don't just disappear, you change the game entirely. Stage 6. Relief versus regret. In the beginning, they might experience a fleeting sense of relief. The silence, the emptiness, may feel like freedom to them, an escape from the weight of the relationship, the expectations, or the emotional effort it required. They might tell themselves, "I'm better off without them. I didn't need that in my life anyway." For a brief moment, they may even convince themselves that they are the ones who made the right decision by letting go. This is the illusion of freedom that comes with distance, a temporary comfort. a brief respite from the intensity of the relationship that once consumed them. But as the days pass, the illusion fades. The weight of your absence settles in, and what once felt like relief starts to twist into something else. The emptiness they initially embraced becomes unbearable. Every corner of their life seems quieter without you, and the things they once took for granted, your presence, your laughter, your love, are now the things they crave the most. The relief they felt turns into an overwhelming tide of regret. They can no longer deny it. They miss you. The realization creeps in slowly at first, but then it hits them like a wave crashing against the shore. Every moment they took for granted, every time they assumed you'd always be there, now stings with the sharp pain of loss. The absence of you feels heavier than they expected. They start to wonder, why did I let them go? And what was I thinking when I didn't appreciate what we had? The sense of relief gives way to an aching longing for what they've lost. In this stage, they find themselves caught in a tug-of-war between two powerful emotions: the fleeting relief they initially felt and the deep, undeniable regret that now threatens to consume them. And as the regret grows, so does the realization that their life has been irreversibly changed by your absence. They may wish they could go back, but deep down, they know that the damage has already been done. It's not just the loss of you they're mourning, it's the loss of the connection they never truly appreciated until it was gone. Stage 7. The realization of their loss. This is the turning point, the moment when everything starts to click into place for them. They can no longer deny the truth that has been slowly unfolding in their mind. It's not just about missing you, it's about understanding the depth of your value, the irreplaceable role you played in their life. They now see what they once took for granted, the way you made them feel safe, the way you offered them comfort when the world felt too harsh, and how your presence had been a source of strength, even if they hadn't recognized it at the time. They realized that you were more than just a companion. You were a cornerstone in their emotional world. Without you, the structure of their life feels fragile, like it's missing something vital. Every little thing they once overlooked begins to haunt them. The way you made them laugh, how you listened when they needed to talk, the thoughtful gestures that seemed small at the time but were truly meaningful. It's in these moments that they understand just how much they lost by letting you slip away. They may also begin to realize the effort it would take to find someone who could fill that gap. No one can bring the same energy, the same understanding, the same comfort that you did. The connections they now try to form feel hollow and unfulfilling in comparison. It's not that others don't matter, it's that you were special in a way they hadn't fully understood before. And now that you're gone, they're left to face the harsh truth. The space you once filled can't be replaced. This stage is a game changer. They come to see without a shadow of a doubt that what they lost isn't just your presence, but a connection that can't be replicated. And that realization is both heartbreaking and transformative. It marks the point where they stop focusing on the reasons they pushed you away and start focusing on the gaping hole your absence has left behind. Stage 8. Obsession and longing. As time goes on, they can't escape the pull of your absence. You become the one thing they can't stop thinking about, no matter how hard they try. Every memory of you, every shared laugh, every deep conversation begins to invade their thoughts in a way they can't control. It's as if your presence has imprinted itself on their mind, and no matter what they do, they can't shake the feeling that something crucial is missing. Their obsession isn't just about wanting to get back together. It's more about fixating on the feeling they had when they were with you, the comfort, the connection, the sense of peace you brought them. The lack of that has created a gnawing void that they can't fill with anyone or anything else. They replay moments in their head over and over again, as if trying to grasp onto something they've already lost. They might even find themselves looking at your social media, trying to pick up any clues about your life without them. It's not just curiosity anymore, it's a desperate longing to feel close to you again, even if it's just through a digital window. They can't help but analyze every post, every comment, every update, searching for some trace of the person they once shared a bond with. This stage is marked by an emotional tug-of-war. On one hand, they regret their actions and wish they could go back and fix things. On the other hand, they feel the sting of having lost you, and their longing becomes more intense as time passes. The more they think about you, the more they realize just how much they took you for granted, and how difficult it is to move on from someone who once meant everything. Their longing for you isn't just about missing a person, it's about missing the sense of completeness they had when you were part of their life. Without you, they feel scattered, unable to focus on anything else for long. You've become a constant in their thoughts, and with each passing day, their obsession deepens, making them realize that no matter how hard they try to move forward, they'll never forget you. Stage 9. Acceptance and guilt. In this final stage, they slowly come to terms with the reality that you're really gone. The initial denial, the desperate attempts to reach out, the constant longing, all of it begins to fade as they accept that they no longer have a place in your life. It's a harsh truth to face, but it's one they must now deal with. They understand on some level that you've moved on, and that there's no turning back to how things were. However, acceptance doesn't bring peace. Instead, it's often accompanied by a heavy sense of guilt. The regret that they didn't treat you better, that they took you for granted, or that they didn't fully appreciate your worth when they had the chance, eats away at them. They can't help but reflect on the moments when they could have done more, been more present, and shown you the love and care you deserved. But now, it's too late. The realization stings even more because they know they had the chance to be different, and they chose not to. This guilt becomes a part of their daily emotional landscape. They may try to distract themselves with other things, relationships, hobbies, work, but it's impossible to outrun the feeling that they lost something irreplaceable. They understand that in many ways their actions led to this outcome, and the guilt weighs on them like an unshakable burden. Despite this, there's also a quiet recognition that this is part of their own personal growth. They've learned, perhaps the hard way, that they can't just take people for granted, especially someone who cared for them as you did. While the guilt doesn't disappear, it pushes them to reflect on who they want to become moving forward. Whether they'll truly change remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: they'll never forget the lesson your absence taught them. Bonus stage: the hope for reconnection. Here's where it gets a little surprising. Even after everything, they might still cling to a glimmer of hope for a second chance. They've gone through the emotional roller coaster of rejection, curiosity, regret, and guilt. But deep down, a small part of them still wonders if things could go back to how they were. They may hold on to the hope that time will heal everything, that maybe, just maybe, they could convince you to come back into their life. They'll reminisce about the good times, the connection you once had, and the possibility that the future could be different. They might think that if they reach out one more time, if they say the right thing, or if they show enough change, you'll forgive them and let them back in. But by now, you've already moved on. You've found peace, growth, and a sense of purpose beyond the drama and uncertainty they once brought into your life. You've built something new, whether it's a stronger sense of self, healthier relationships, or simply the joy of not being weighed down by the past. The idea of reconnecting feels like a distant memory, a chapter in your story that's already been closed. Their hope becomes bittersweet because they're finally realizing that while they're still stuck in the past, you're no longer there. You've grown, you've healed, and you're no longer looking back. The hope for a second chance slowly fades as they accept the hard truth. The person they once had will never be the person they can get back. And that's the ultimate twist. They thought they could survive without you, but in the end, it's them who's left wishing for what's now gone forever. To quickly recap, these 9 stages reveal that disappearing from someone's life isn't just an action. It's a powerful statement of your self-worth. You've shown them, through silence and absence, that you won't be taken for granted. It's a reminder that your value doesn't depend on their attention or approval, but on your own sense of self-respect. If you're ready to make them feel your absence, remember this: silence is your power. Don't explain, don't warn, just vanish. The moment you step away, you force them to see what they lost, and that alone speaks louder than any words ever could. So, if you're done being treated like an option and ready to reclaim your worth, drop a comment with "I'm done." And if this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.